welcome to episode 33 of Pins and Needles, my crafty podcast. My name is Zoe. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Pins and Needles UK. We do have a Ravelry group, and I will put links to everything I talk about and timestamps and everything in the drop down box below. So do check down there. It's been a while. It's been a month, I think, a full month since I've done a proper sit down episode. I released 3 things last month in September. The Yarndale vlog that I did, and 2 vlogs to do with the Knit Tea retreat that I'm organising with Jenny about yarn. So I hope you didn't miss me too much. Thank you also for all of the comments on my Yarndale vlog. I thoroughly enjoyed making it. Jenny and I had an absolute hoot, and I'm really pleased that that you enjoyed watching it as well. Although I must admit, I'm feeling the pressure now. We've got Nottingham Yarn Expo next month, and I was going to do another vlog, but what if it's not as good? Victim of my own success. So yes, thank you for the comments that you leave on YouTube. I do read them all. I do struggle to reply. Everything takes much longer than I think. But thank you, I do read them all, and I'm glad you enjoyed watching it as much as Jenny and I clearly enjoyed making it. Why haven't I podcasted for a month? Well, as I said, I've been busy doing the other bits and pieces, and it's been a very busy month with the kids in school and all the rest of it. I will fill you in on that at the end of the podcast. I normally do my chat right at the beginning, but I've decided to switch it up, so I'll put all the catch-up stuff at the end, and then you can choose whether you want to listen to that or not. I don't have my pins section this week, I'm afraid. My sewing mojo is still missing in action. I was frustrated because my last 2 projects, although I made them well, didn't fit. And so I was a bit sulky about that. And then I tried that nice quilted sewing machine mat, and I couldn't even cut the triangles out correctly. So I'm still sulking. But also, I think going to Yarndale was such an exciting thing. It really fueled my enthusiasm for knitting. Not that that was flagging, but knitting is my one true love. And yeah, I have to sit down and make myself sew. And I will get back to it, and you will be the first to know. But today is just going to be knitting, so I hope that's all right. If you remember, long-term viewers, we had our... Oh, there's Jim. Hello, Jim. We had our house rewide back in February, and we have finally got round to decorating the kitchen, which is the other reason why we're so busy. But having done that, we managed to unpack the things we packed away, and look, I've got my Yorkshire tea mug back, so proper brew. Okay, so let's crack on with some finished objects. I did show you these last time, but I don't think they were complete. No, I finished these after Yarndale. These are the Mebonden Mittens by Lesley of Skeindeer, and they are part of her Selbu Mitten Club. And you can search the hashtag Selbu Mitten Club on Instagram. Ellie has a fantastic podcast, which I've spoken about before. You really must head over and see that. And she is releasing 1 mitten pattern every month from September to December, all in the Selbu Mitten style. So this is the first pair, the Mebonden Mittens. And these are DK weight, and the green yarn is, I need to double check, what's the green yarn? King Cole Merino DK, can't remember the colour number, it was just some scraps. And the cream is Sirdar Balmoral DK, and that's the discontinued yarn, so not terribly helpful, I'm afraid. So as you can see, you have a lovely star on the front. No, that's the back of your hand, isn't it? And it's echoed in the cuff motif. There's just a couple of rows of ribbing down the bottom, and then a lice pattern across the palm. And apparently one of the traditions of Selbu Mitten knitting is you get this grown on thumb increase So it's not an afterthought thumb, and it doesn't come out of the side in a true thumb gusset. And you can see how you increase because this line that continues up the side of the mitten goes that way. Now I have quite large hands, so I did go up a needle size. I knitted the hands on a 4mm needle. I did magic loop, and I just used Knit Picks Knit Pro Nova's nice slippy metal needles. And although I have blocked these, all I did was soak them and lay them flat to dry. I haven't actually stretched them out, and they're a nice snug fitting mitten. So there you are. I think if I hold my hand flat, so I'm not stretching, but just hold my hand flat, you can see where it pulls just a little bit by there. But for most people it would be absolutely fine. It's just me with my enormous man hands. So there are my Mebonden Mittens. There's absolutely loads of people taking part in this knit along. So as I said, I'll link down below to her Ravelry group, and there's a finished objects thread, and there's a lovely chatter thread going. And even if you don't want to take part, they're just such beautiful mittens. So you get 4 mitten patterns, and you also get a bonus 5th pattern, which is her Selbu Mittens, which had been published previously. And they're designed so that the first pattern is super simple, and they get increasingly challenging but never difficult as the patterns come out. So yes, those are my Mebonden Mittens. I'm absolutely thrilled with them. Ellie did give a lot of guidance both on the pattern page and within the pattern itself as to yarn recommendations, which I completely ignored. She suggested toothy rustic yarns, and I've gone with one merino and one wool and alpaca blend, but they've come out absolutely beautifully. So there you go. You've got to do what you've got to do, haven't you? My next finished item, no, it's not that one. I'm a little bit rusty, I think. My next finished item is in my Owl About Yarn female superhero bag, and this is the Violet Waffles hat pattern by Halidora J. Everybody and their dog has knitted one of these, but it's because it's such a gorgeous pattern. So it's a waffle rib, basically, with a 2x2 rib at the top, and it's a DK weight pattern. And this is Fyberspates Scrumptious DK, which is a 55% merino, 45% silk. And it's a singles yarn. And I knitted this for me. It's a nice cozy beanie. Really soft with all the silk. Look, and I do like a hat that covers my ears. I took an appalling bathroom selfie and put it up on Instagram, but that's where the really good light was at the time. So there we go. I think it's really nice. It's nice and snug. Yeah, the pattern was beautifully written. The yarn is gorgeous. What I will say is this yarn, I had originally knitted it years ago. It was some of my very first special yarn that I bought. And I originally made arm warmers, which was a terrible decision because they bagged out, and this yarn is a quite loosely spun singles yarn, if you can see that. Yeah. So actually it's a bit splitty to knit with. And I did the ribbing on double pointed needles, and I did have a short fixed circular, again Knit Pro Nova, but the needles weren't quite long enough and it was so slippy and they were quite sharp, so it kept dragging on the yarn and it was a bit of a nightmare. So in the end I swapped over to my old Millwood needles, the ones that you just buy from Hobbycraft, and they had a blunted tip, so it was much easier. But yes, I knitted this for the Kilt Craft Harvest Hat Along. I'm sure you've heard of Nessa's podcast. Again, I will leave links down below. And she, once a year, hosts, well, I say once a year, this is the second year she's done it, hosts a hat knit along with her friend Twee of the Twisted Stitches podcast. And it's knit a hat, adult sized hat, any kind, any weight yarn, doesn't matter, and you can double dip in both podcast threads as well. And last year I knit the fairy snow cap hat. Can't remember who did that pattern. Might be Romy Hill. And I did a lovely chocolate brown alpaca hat with a big poofy pom-pom on the top. Yeah, and I needed another beanie. Between walking the dog and the school runs, I get through a lot of hats. They get wet and they're not dry in time for the next time I have to leave the house. So I knitted myself a beanie. It only used about half of my skein of yarn though, so I'm not sure what to do with the rest. It's gorgeous yarn, but it's not suitable for a lot of things because of the single ply and the fact that it fuzzes up. And the fact that it's silk, you can't, So I've got about 100 grams left. Maybe I will just put it in the scraps jar and see what it wants to be when it grows up. So that was that one. I think those are the only 2 finished objects I have. Okay, next up, works in progress. Now this work in progress smells very slightly of chicken cordon bleu. These are my travel socks, and I always take them to work with me, although I never knit when I'm at work, because that's a bit of a cheek really, sat behind the desk of my own gym knitting. But I always take them with me, never leave the house without your knitting. And yesterday I was working a late shift, so I put some leftovers in a Tupperware box and I didn't click the lid properly. So it smells a little bit chickeny. The bag is my Tracy of Thimble and Thread Make, one of her Harry Potter bags. I love it. It's just the right size. So these are my dad's Christmas socks. My dad, well, both my parents are very, very knit-worthy people, and Dad particularly loves socks, so I knit him at least 1 pair of socks a year. I'm afraid the yarn is a bit mashed looking, but I picked up a ball of West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply from Yarndale. It's one of my yarns on my list. So it's colourway 855, which is the colourway Pheasant. It's 100 grams, 400 metres, 437 yards, 75-25, and 35% of the 75% is Blueface Leicester. So there's the yarn label. I'm very sorry about that. I just caught the phone cable with the knitting and all the phone and the tripod ended up on the floor. So I'm sorry if the perspective has changed a little bit. I was showing you my dad's socks, that's what I was doing. So yes, West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the colourway Pheasant. And this is my slightly mashed looking centre pull ball. So yes, I bought this from Yarndale and cast it on within a week because this might be, I'm sorry if there's funny bleepy noises, the dog keeps turning the Xbox on and off with his bum. He's sat in a sunny patch. Anyway, so I've knitted 1 enormous man sock and they are really just the most gorgeous colours. So this is my own sock recipe, it's nothing special, 80 stitches on 2.25mm needles, and I just love it. I love all of the colours, the rusts and the oranges and the burnt yellows, and there's teal, and there's a lovely blue, and then the little grey stripes in the middle, absolutely gorgeous. So there's one sock, and here's my second, and I'm through the gusset on this one, and I am zooming down the foot. There we are, look, so nice bit of travel knitting. And I've been pretty pooped this last month, so it's been really nice to have something super simple on my needles for when I really can't do anything else except knit endlessly round and round in circles. See if I can pick up the next item without throwing you all on the floor again. My other work in progress is the October mitten pattern by Lesley of Skeindeer Knits, and these are the near mittens. So there's my pattern. Oh, and I don't know if you'll be interested, but Obviously there's charts that come with this because it's a colour work pattern and I love a chart. And I've got this metal sheet. It's not quite A4 size, which is frustrating. And it's obviously created by DMC, the cotton thread company, because it comes with these two magnetic strips. And this one is a ruler, you can see, has measurements on it. And this one is just supposed to look like some embroidery silk. So I attach the paper with a little bulldog clip. And then I do use a row counter as well, but I use the ruler bit to just cover up the pattern above the line I'm working across, and it just keeps everything nice and secure. And pop those back on. Yeah, so those are the Nia mittens. Again, I went stash diving for yarn for these, and I'm sure Ellie would shudder in horror if she knew what I was using to knit them with. I'm knitting these for my daughter for her birthday. So Jocelyn, if you're watching this, look away now. So these are my two colours. And again, this is Sirdar Balmoral DK, same as the cream of the Mebonden Mittens. And it's just a solid black and a solid cranberry. And these are my daughter's school colours. So I thought that'd be rather nice for her birthday, which is coming up on the 1st of December. So because these are for Joss rather than me, and she is, she's nearly 12. She's tall for her age, she's 5'3", but she has normal sized hands, not massive hands. I did use the recommended needle sizes in the pattern, which I think was a 3.5 and a 3.75, but I could be wrong. And I have finished the first mitten. I've basically got about 4 days to knit the second one, because the third pattern will come out on the 1st of November, which I think is Wednesday next week. And today is Friday, so, but they do go quite quickly, so you never know. Anyway, I'm rambling. This is my Nia mitten. Now, I changed to a corrugated rib cuff. I hadn't done it before, so I think I looked up Very Pink Knits on YouTube about corrugated ribbing. The colourwork cuff was going to be really quite long, and I didn't think she'd want that tucked up inside her coat. So I just did corrugated ribbing, which you cast on in one colour, and then you knit the first round, you knit in alternate colours. You don't do any purling. And then on row 2, that's when you start doing knit one, purl one. And the reason for that, she explained, is that if you go straight into the ribbing, you get the colour difference at the bottom of the first stitch, which you don't want. So anyway, corrugated ribbing looks super smart. It is stretchy, but not as stretchy as normal rib. And it's got, again, a fairly traditional pattern, a bit of checkerboard up the side. It's got a similar edge design, and then a slightly more complicated palm. This isn't terribly high contrast, but you can see it there. And the same thumb, kind of a heart pattern down here, and then you continue the diamonds on the other side of the thumb. Now this is unblocked, so if I hold this one up, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see the difference in the stitches. My technique is the same, but one is blocked and one is not. So again, I think for these ones, I will just lay them flat to dry. I don't think I'm going to need to stretch it out. This is a slightly wider pattern. There's more stitches in every round and a slightly shorter number of rows to complete the whole mitten. So again, much better suited to Jocelyn's hand, I think, than to mine. They do fit me, it's not a problem. But my thumb is right at the top. But yeah, again, you can see there's the pulling just here with the thumb gusset. But overall, I'm very happy with those. I finished the thumb this morning. I woke up at 3:45 this morning. My neighbour very loudly went to work, and then I was just awake. So I've had a very long day already, and it's only 1:30. So yeah, that's my other mitten. And I keep those in my Mrs. Brown's bag. All the bags. My final whip, now this is in my gorgeous Duckpool Lane bag that lovely Lesley sent me. Hey Lesley! For those of you who have been following along, the Knit Tea Retreat, which is now fully booked out, and we've got people on the waiting list, and thank you so much for that. We are running some knit-alongs. Now the knit-alongs are open to everybody, whether you're coming to the retreat or if you can't make it or if you missed out on a place. So if you're interested in joining us, do head over to the Knit Tea Retreat Ravelry group, and we are running one knit-along a quarter between now and October of 2018 when the retreat starts. And they're quarterly, so each will run for 3 months, and each is themed around one of the tutors that will be teaching. So our first knit-along is an Anniken Allis knit-along. She is such a prolific designer. I did a vlog on the knit-along, so if you're interested in joining us, you can get the full details of that by watching the video, and it's also in the first post in the Ravelry thread. Anyway, so my pattern, let me just shuffle the pages around so you don't see it. I decided to do the Crescent Bay Shawl, and the sample is gorgeous. It's knitted in self-striping yarn, caterpillar green yarn, which is now Gauge and Tension. The dye changed the name. And again, I wanted to use stash yarns. So I dived into my stash, and I've got some Drops alpaca. And I used 3 different colours, a dark purple, which is colour 4400, a lilac, which is colour 4434, and a charcoal, which is colour 0506. And there they are. So they're pure alpaca. It's a 4-ply weight, lovely and hairy, and super, super soft. And it's going to have a really nice drape as well. It's almost not worth showing you this. The cast on date was the 21st, so only not quite a week ago. And it runs until the 21st of January. So last Saturday, I hadn't had much time that previous week for knitting, so I was so looking forward to the cast on. There's so much lovely chatter going in the retreat group, and I was like, oh, I can cast on. Do you want to see how much I did? It's almost embarrassing to show you. That is my sum total of my progress. Look at that beauty. I think I'm up to 16 stitches now. Oh, it's my own fault. The trouble is I didn't read the pattern, and of course it's beaded, and I hadn't noticed. So Jenny very kindly bought her selection of beads to the gym earlier in the week, but nothing was going to go correctly. And then I remembered that I have some leftover beads. A couple of years ago, I knit my mum a Boo Knits shawl in beautiful pale blue silk, and I used these. So these are just clear seed beads. I think maybe they're size 8, not really sure. And they're completely clear. Sometimes you get clear beads, but the hole in the middle is foil lined, so they're clear beads with like a purple foil lining or something. These are completely clear, which means that they're really quite subtle. So I think I will go ahead and use these. I was umming and ahhing about buying some more, but I don't need terribly many. I need about 16, that's all I need. Anniken does have some beautiful beads on her website. If you go and have a look at her website, there's some lovely kits on there, and she does sell beads that would go, but I'm trying to use what I've got, so I shall use those. And hopefully that means I can crack on with it a bit, because it really is embarrassing to be co-hosting a knit along and having only ended up with 16 stitches in a week. Oh dear. So yes, that's the last of my works in progress. I obviously have some acquisitions to share because I headed off to Yarndale. So I will quickly trot you through those. I think it was on the second day, but I treated myself to an official Yarndale tote. Look at the sheep. They have a different sheep every year that they design. And I don't have a sweater sized project bag. And I knew I wanted to buy one sweater quantity's worth of yarn, so I treated myself. And it's lovely, lovely long handles, really sturdy fabric. And there were a couple of different designs you could choose from. So the design I chose, I think was this year's design, but there was one where the sheep had granny squares on it. I can't remember what the other choice was. Anyway, so I'll give you a close-up because it really is a gorgeous design. Look at that. It's all cables. So yeah, that was £8, I think. £8 very well spent, if you ask me. So, first up, I was on the hunt for mitten yarn because I knew I've got some DK in my stash, some of which I was already going to use. And then the rest was a sweater quantity, which I didn't want to split up. And I also didn't have any contrast colours to go with it. So one of the yarns that Ellie recommends is Blacker Yarns Classic. And so I bought 4. It comes in 50-gram balls. It's only about £4 a ball. And I bought enough for 2 more pairs of mittens. So my first colour combination is this. So this is 457 navy, and this is, no, can't be 457, they're both called 457. Maybe that's the lot number. Anyway, this one is called navy and this one is called white, although it is in fact a cream. It seems to be lighter on this side of the screen today. So that's going to be 1 pair of mittens, so nice classic navy. And then this pair we've got grey and turquoise, so they don't seem to have colourway numbers, and that's going to be another pair. I should really, for these two, I should probably do that thing where you take a black and white photo on your phone to check that the contrast is high enough, because, oh, I've tucked them away now. But on the black and red mittens, they look fine, but there isn't as much contrast as I would have liked. So I bet if I took a picture of those, it might be a bit close. But I think these, I mean, they're lovely colours. They're going to make gorgeous mittens. And there are slightly more metres per 100 grams than this yarn. So it is a slightly thicker yarn. What does it say? 100% pure new wool. 110 metres to 50 grams. Is that right? Yes. For those of you that haven't had a squish of this, it is not merino soft. It has a little more body to it, but it is not prickly. I'm fairly bomb-proof. I can wear a Cascade 220 turtleneck without a problem, so I'd be fine with the cardigan in this. But it is certainly a bit more sturdy than a lot of yarns people tend to knit with. So again, for mittens, this is going to be fantastic. My mittens take a lot of bashing with dog leads and things like that. So yes, I'm not sure which colourway combination I will use for the next pattern. I'm going to have a look at it and see which one. What I wanted to do in Yarndale was buy 2 balls for 1 pair of mittens and then find a different yarn for the final pair. But they didn't have any rustic, nobody else really had toothy rustic DK yarn in 50-gram balls. Or if they did, it wasn't the colours I liked, or it wasn't solid. I really wanted solid colours. So 2 lots of blacker, can't complain, it's lovely stuff. So I was very pleased with that purchase. Right, Mum, I know you're watching this. So my mum asked me to knit her a Duchess of Devonshire shawl for Christmas. And that's a pattern by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. Now I'll link it down below. And she wanted it in a colour that would go with lots of things. So in the end, she decided she wanted a sort of a silver grey. My mum suits quite delicate, soft colours. So Jenny and I did 2 laps of Yarndale and I just couldn't find what I wanted. Yeah, I'm not at all sensitive to wool. My mum is a bit more, and given that a shawl always goes around your neck, I really didn't want to knit something that she couldn't wear. So I really wanted something with silk content in it. So we went to Laxton's Mill, who are a commercial spinning company who provide yarn for lots of big commercial brands as well as spinning for smaller producers. And in the end, Jenny just said to me, look, buy some undyed yarn from Laxton's and she would dye it up for me. So that's what I did. I bought 3 skeins of their merino silk mix. I think it's 55-45 again, same as the Fyberspates Scrumptious. So Mum, look away. You looked away. And this is how Jenny dyed it for me. Look at that. Look at that. You can see the shine on that yarn and it is beautifully soft. Really is gorgeous, and it smells nice because Jenny rinsed it with some fabric conditioner. So it's lush. Okay, Mum, you can look now, it's safe. So I will be casting on that probably the middle of November. Although I'll need the 3 skeins, it's a pretty quick knit because it's simple lace and it is garter in between and it flies along, so that's absolutely fine. The next thing I bought, again from Laxton's, like I said, I wanted to try and find a sweater quantity of yarn. The very lovely Meg of Mrs M's Curiosity Cabinet, hi Meg, very generously sent me a pattern, which I think I waved at you the last time. And it was my aspirational knit cardigan from when I first found Ravelry, and that was Dark and Stormy by Thea Coleman. So I wanted yarn that would go with the theme of Dark and Stormy, and I found this. That's pretty true to life for colour actually. So this is 100% Falkland merino yarn, and it is butter soft, and it's not high twist, but it has a decent twist in there, and it's going to cable gorgeously because Dark and Stormy has cables up, down and all over, plus a shawl collar. So I have got a sweater quantity of this and it's just, it's so beautiful. Navy is my neutral. Being slightly ginger, black washes me out, but navy will suit me beautifully and it will go with a lot of the things that I already have in my wardrobe. So I have, I think 8 skeins of this, something like that. And then my last purchase, which I kind of half shared with Jenny, there were some stalls at Yarndale that had fabric, sort of wool fabrics and things like that. And one stand in particular had some samples of a poncho hanging up, and I'd seen quite a few ladies walking around Yarndale wearing it. And they were selling kits for the whole poncho, but I didn't have that much money. So I just bought the pattern. And this is by Make Me. The company is called Make Me, and it's the Sky Tweed Wrap. And there it is. So it's pretty much a triangle of wool lined with pretty fabric. And then you have these buttons down the side. I'll try and find the website. I'm not sure if they sell it online or only at shows, but I'll see if I can find it and put the details down below. So yes, at some point I'm going to treat myself to a couple of meters of nice wool fabric and make myself one of those. And then of course the next thing I needed was the buttons. So I went to Anne Baig. She has a lovely button stand. Now, Anne Baig is a slightly strange name. This is how it's spelt. And again, I'll leave links down below. And she sells the most gorgeous, whimsical buttons. She had beautiful animal ones and things like that. And I found these gorgeous metal ones, so they're sort of hammered. So this isn't, well, it is a colour effect, but it's feely, you know, it's a textured button. Really nice size, they're probably 1.5 inches. So I thought I'd try and find some tweed, wool fabric, and then have these down the side for my poncho. So yes. So that's it for my Yarndale purchases. I did make one other purchase. When I was at Yarndale, one of the yarns that everyone was very interested in squishing was the new West Yorkshire Spinners Croft Shetland Tweed, which is this. And I didn't think I liked it when I was at Yarndale, and I thought, oh, I don't know about the colours, and I ended up obviously buying some after I got back from Yarndale. And I think what I don't like is they've designed some patterns to come out in this yarn, and whilst the patterns are gorgeous and the yarns are gorgeous, some of them I don't think go together. So there's quite a few cabled jumpers and accessories, and I just don't think you can see the cables well enough, and the cable itself obscures the gorgeousness of the speckly yarn. So I think that's what put me off. The yarn, in fact, is beautiful. So I ordered 2 skeins of it from brityarn.co.uk, the lovely Isla, who I met because she was on the Blacker stand. So there's her card. And I ordered 2 skeins. And I think at the time she was away in Shetland Wool Week. So it was in fact Mr. Brit Yarn that sent me my yarn. And he wrote a little note. Enjoy your yarny purchase, Mr. Brit Yarn. And it came with a little tiny stitch marker. And look, these are my favourite kind. It's just a ring with a bead on the end. Doesn't snag on anything. So I ordered 2 of these. So this is an Aran weight yarn. This is colourway 754 Halo, and 100% Shetland Island wool, 166 metres or 182 yards to a 100 gram skein. And off the top of my head, it was £8 from Isla on Brit Yarn. And it really is gorgeous to work with. It has got Shetland wool in it. It is a blend. There is some Shetland wool in it, but all of the wool in it is from Shetland, if you get what I mean. So yes, this is the colourway Halo, and it is sort of a very pale grey base with moss and purple and fuchsia speckles all over it. And as I said, I had 2 skeins of this. And unfortunately, I can't quite tell you yet what I did with the other skein. I have a new design coming out, hopefully in the middle of November. And this pattern has 2 variations in it, one of which I knitted out of a one-of-a-kind skein of yarn of Jenny's, of All About Yarn, again in Aran. And then I wanted another yarn for the second version in something much more commercially available. Jenny's yarn is gorgeous, but she doesn't dye much Aran anymore, and obviously if you're overseas that can be tricky to get hold of, and I know that sometimes people really do like to knit in the yarn that's the sample's been knitted in. So I ordered 2 skeins of this. I used slightly less than 1 for my new design, and I'm keeping this to do a giveaway. So when my new pattern comes out next month, I'll talk about it. I'll do another designer notebook vlog for my channel, and it'll be all over Instagram, so make sure you follow me there. And I will do an Instagram giveaway to win a copy of the pattern along with this skein of yarn. So that was my other purchase. So if you are keen to keep up to date with my designing and when the pattern is coming out, do sign up to my Pins and Needles newsletter. I'll leave you a link down below. I do not spam people. I think I've maybe sent out 2 emails to my newsletter subscribers, and it will only ever be when I've actually got something to talk about, like a new design coming up, here's a discount code, that sort of thing. So yes, if you're keen, sign up down below, and all will be revealed very soon. The pattern is currently with Maria, my fantastic tech editor, and I've got some test knitters raring to go as soon as Maria's finished with it. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. That is the end of my acquisitions. I'm going to have to go and refill my mug of tea because I'm gasping. I just got back from a dog walk, and although it's beautiful and sunny today, it is quite windy, so I'll be back in a second. I'm back. So, my natter section. I decided to move it to the end in case you guys weren't interested. I know you're interested, but I just think if people are new to the podcast, they probably want to get straight into the craftiness and don't necessarily want to hear about what I've been up to straight away. So I've moved this to the end of the podcast, so those of you that are still interested can keep watching, and those of you that are really only here for the yarn can toddle off, and that's fine. So yes, the past month has been pretty nuts. A lot of my spare time and energy has been taken up with the retreat. For those of you that haven't watched any of the vlogs, I'm organising the Knit Tea Retreat with Jenny of All About Yarn that's taking place in Cardiff next October. And we were completely overwhelmed that we sold out in under 24 hours. It was nuts. And we went to Yarndale in sort of towards the end of September, and then we came back and pretty much within a week launched the Knit Tea Retreat bookings. And then there was a good 2 weeks after that of quite serious admin to do with that and recording these vlogs and all sorts of things. So that's taken up a lot of my time. It has now died down a bit. We're running the knit-alongs, and don't forget to head over to the thread to find those. But I don't know about you guys, but this period of the year between September and Christmas is absolutely chocker. We've got family birthdays. Work is always busy because people suddenly decide to get fit again in autumn. So the gym is really busy. And Christmas, is it too early to say the C word? I don't know. Are you Christmas knitting? I've Christmas knitted. I'm not doing too badly. Anyway, so we had a bulk of work to get done straight after Yarndale. It's settled down a bit now, and then in the new year, Jenny and I will start again with the next things for the retreat. So that's taken up quite a bit of my time. What else have we been up to? I'm working more hours at the gym. I'm up to about 26 hours a week now, and that's just on shift, plus the paperwork at home. So that's obviously kept me out of trouble. And we're trying to change a few things. One of the glories of self-employment is that you can change how you do things and constantly improve and upgrade. And so we're starting a new cycle of upgrades and improvements at work. And I'm busy enough just running the status quo. So trying to find the extra brain space and actual time to do things is difficult. And I don't do change very well. Oh, I'm jealous of people that just take on new projects and don't worry about it. But I like a routine and I like familiarity, and I do find it, I can cope with change. It's not like I'm on the verge of a panic attack or anything. I'm not, but I find it quite stressful. So I'm finding that hard. But it's all good, promising things, and we're working hard. I'm looking at getting our website revamped and all sorts of stuff. So that's quite fun. The other reason why this podcast is a week later than it should have been, for which I apologise, is that my mobile phone turned into a brick. I record on my Samsung. I don't know what it is. It's an S something. And I was at work the other day and it just went completely black. So I had to brave Cardiff last Saturday. I live on Barry Island, which is about 13 miles west of Cardiff. And I had to take it to the Samsung shop in Cardiff city centre on a Saturday. And city centres on a weekend, oh, there's Jim. They are my idea of hell. Absolutely hate them. So I had to do that, and then I had to take my phone to the shop and wait for 6 hours while they changed out the motherboard. So I waffled around Cardiff in driving rain and gale force winds while they did that, and spent a bit of money in Lush and wandered around a bookshop. So that finally got fixed, which is why I can talk to you today. How And I think really that's it. Other than that, we've just been painting the kitchen and ferrying the kids around a bit, working hard, not doing much cleaning. And yeah, other than that, just normal day-to-day things, I think. So I've got Nottingham, as I said, I've got Nottingham Yarn Expo with Jenny of Out About Yarn in the middle of next month. So if anybody is going to that, please come and say hello to me on the stand. And keep an eye out for my new design coming about the same time. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give me a thumbs up and click subscribe in the red box. And as I said, if you're interested in finding out more about my designs and maybe a bit of a cheeky discount code, then do click the link below and sign up to my newsletter and you will be the first to know. So thank you for tuning in today. I hope you are well, and I hope that the next 2 weeks gives you lots of knitting and crocheting and spinning and weaving time. And I promise that I will try and do some sewing to have something to share with you next time we speak. So enjoy Halloween if you celebrate that. If not, just eat chocolate and enjoy it anyway. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.